Hello, Mike. Yeah, you're the first person on. I did do a community out, post about this one today because a few people have told me, sometimes they don't actually get the notifications, so that does seem to help people get on. But it's gone up to 14 viewers now. So, hello to everybody. Don't forget to like the stream because it does obviously seem to help it get shared. Hello, Sophistry. So this is just going to be a general webcam and chat kind of stream. I've got the IP4 rebreather on, but obviously not plugged into anything because that would be a very bad idea. So I can breathe through the hose and out the hose, and it's got a voice diaphragm on this one, so hopefully, you can hear me alright. What about the mask behind me? Which one? What, the Chinese Type 64A, or the GP5M, or the M65? Which one? So I said I'll be streaming for probably about an hour or so, or did I say that? I can't remember. But yeah, about an hour to an hour and a half for today's stream. And don't forget to like the stream, everybody has said, because so far the viewers are a lot higher than the like figures. Alright, have fun feeding the sheep. I suppose you can listen to this if you've got a signal while going out there. What, the Bulgarian PG1, that one? Or do you mean the PDF of the hose? No, but there's always this kind of stuff where like, oh, Russian planes in NATO airspace and all that sort of stuff. I don't really pay attention to it because it seems what the media does when they don't have any real news stories to report on. Yeah, Peach, this is the Soviet IP4M rebreather. Obviously, I've not bothered plugging it into anything because that would be a silly idea. It's fogging up ever so slightly, although it does have an oral nasal cup. It's not too uncomfortable, the mask, actually. It's a shame the Soviets never made this mask in just 40mm, because this is actually a very good mask in terms of voice diaphragm and layout and oral nasal cup and all that. No, I've not heard of a Russian spy whale. Okay, so on 74 gas mask. I tell you what, I'm going to have to take this off because it's fogging up too much to actually see the stuff. So let me pop the glasses back on. Oh yeah, that's the Draeger M65 copy. So that one there is a copy of that mask. Hello, No Eyes. Yeah, I'm feeling tired today, but I don't think it's a lack of sleep. For me, I think it's because my hay fever was a bit bad this morning. I took a few antihistamines, like a safe dose and everything, but antihistamines can make you a bit drowsy. So today, yeah, it's one of those days where my medication's making me feel a bit drowsy, but I feel good in myself. My ulcerative colitis has been well with the nicotine patch. I've got the patch I put on last night there, just there. And I've ordered another week's worth of nicotine patches. I probably said that in the stream the other day. So I think they should come today, and then I've got one more nicotine patch left from the last lot, and then that gives me another week's supply, and then I want to see, will I have a week where I have like no UC symptoms, because that would be very interesting if I didn't very good. Yeah, there's swords in the backgrounds. Which one are you looking at? There's a saber there, an arming sword there, and a katana there, and there's a rapier just there. I quit smoking, but the thing is, with I did shave my head again, but it still looks like there's a bit of more hair there than there should be, so I don't know. It's around there. I did actually, before the stream, got the clippers out and went all along the back of my head, so maybe that is just the angle, I'm not sure. But yeah, I used to smoke. I quit smoking, but because I have ulcerative colitis, one of the weird things with UC is that smokers don't get it as often, and the science of that is nicotine in your body seems to reduce the symptoms of UC or prevent you from getting it. So having nicotine patches or vaping or chewing nicotine gum or whatever actually makes your symptoms milder, which is obviously a good thing. So while I don't actually smoke anymore, I still use nicotine because I find when I'm using nicotine my UC is actually better. That's cool. Do you like it, Poopzilla? Right, yeah, I'll watch that when I get back from work tomorrow then, if I remember, Mike. Countryside, Michael. Not too far from a decent sized city, but that's the typical thing of the UK because it's such a small island compared to the population size. You're never going to be that far from a big city. That's good, yeah, it's a cool mask, isn't it? It's my favourite Soviet mask, probably. Yeah, I've got a couple of vape things. The one I'm using at the moment is called a 4-vape. I won't get it at the moment because I've not got it on my desk. But I've had different e-cigarettes over the years and things. But the thing is, obviously, with a nicotine patch, you can have it on if you're in a place you can't even vape or whatever. So that's the good thing of it. I can have it on like 24/7, you know. Every 24 hours switch to a new nicotine patch. Right, see you, Random Mitchell. Yeah, the Shums is a cool mask, just don't, or SHMS, however it's pronounced, just don't wear it with the original filter, and wipe any talc out of it before you wear it. I'm just on the water today, nothing fancy. I've had a strong coffee this morning, but because I was running a bit late for doing this stream anyway, because I had to go to the toilet before I started the stream, I thought, you know, I'm not going to bother spending 3 minutes or so making a coffee before I start the stream. I thought I might as well just use my water and get straight on. So when the stream ends, I'm going to have another go of the clipper and see if I can get that bit of hair there. If it is hair, just go over that again, even though I've already done it several times. But it might just be a camera angle thing where it looks like there's more hair there than there is. But, or it could just be my scalp slightly discoloured there. No, I'm single, Michael. And I've no interest, as I said before, in having kids, just because I've got so many genetic defects that I would consider it like really evil if I had a child and then, you know, they had some of the things I've got or worse, you know. I've got no interest in kids. Yeah, exactly, Mike. I don't think it's going to completely stop me having symptoms, but it's one of those things that seems to reduce it, because the logic is that because nicotine's an immunosuppressant, and obviously my illness is one that's caused by your immune system actually targeting your own body, not doing its job properly. Anything that reduces the actual effect to the immune system is good. Now, with ulcerative colitis, you can actually be given on prescription immunosuppressant drugs, but that's kind of a last resort from what I understand, because the problem with immunosuppressant drugs is, say you get the flu, then you could die very easily. And because nicotine's a much weaker immunosuppressant, it means that if I got the flu, I'd just stop using nicotine for a bit until I'd recovered from the flu. But in terms of when I've not got a cold or anything, then yeah, I want to suppress my immune system and not actually have it working properly. And also because my hay fever is caused from a dodgy immune system, my eczema is caused from a dodgy immune system. So in theory, having the nicotine patches on as well, I guess, would stop my hay fever and eczema acting up as well as much. Well, as I've already said, I'm not having kids, but what I do is, when I die, if I knew about dying long enough in advance to write a will and everything, if there was any sort of military museum that wanted my entire gas mask collection, they could have it. My friends could have first choice. But as I think I've said to people before, I just donate all my stuff to museums that would want it. But the problem is I wouldn't want to donate it to a museum and then they just never have it on display. Because the sad thing is, lots of museums have like 90+% of their stuff never on display, because they've not got enough actual, you know, like museum space to display all their collection. And that seems completely pointless to me, you know, if you donated stuff to a museum and it just sat in a box somewhere never being seen again. Well, FP5 filters on the GP5 means you can use the GP5. Yeah, I'll just say again, don't forget to like the stream, everybody, because it does seem if the streams get liked, YouTube shares it more to the people who are actually subscribed. So sadly I have to keep flashing that up. Sorry about mentioning that because it feels a bit annoying mentioning it, but I have noticed the streams get shared better when I constantly tell people to like the streams, so there we go. So I watched 2 films last night, as we were on about last stream. I watched, both of them were a bit crap actually. Well, I watched the Bad Ben one and that was alright, but if you've seen any of the Bad Ben ones, you know that they're made on like no budget by a single bloke. So it's what I'd expect from it, but you know the problem is I think there's too many Bad Ben films now. The first one's still the best one. It was alright, but you know, nothing special. There's a few actually quite funny bits in it. And then I watched some old Jack Palance film about aliens, that was just crap. There was a couple of good bits in it, but it was just in general a crap film, you know, very low budget. Cameron Mitchell was in it, but only sadly at the very beginning. He died like within 2 minutes of the film, which is a shame because it's quite funny seeing Alky Cameron Mitchell, just rest in peace Cameron Mitchell, but it's quite funny seeing, you know, when he was an alcoholic and film studios just gave him a little bit of booze money to appear in the film and just sort of stumble around on set. The weird thing of Cameron Mitchell is if you see some of the older films he's in, he's actually a decent actor and he was sober. But then as he got older and older, he became more and more of an alcoholic. Yeah, I haven't seen anybody else ask on that one yet, Mike, when I checked it earlier. I suppose scented gloves aren't too bad. Eau de NBC. Yeah, at the moment it's 21 minutes past 1 UK time. Now, Weapon Collector's stream should be very interesting tonight because he's going to do a spooky one, and hopefully we manage to keep it on topic, because the only issue is when you do topic-based streams, is quite often they always wander off topic. Always amazes me, though, how fast time goes when you're doing a stream and chatting. Because it's already like 13 minutes into this stream and it feels like I've been doing this for 5 minutes. It's real but deactivated. All my guns are real but deactivated or replicas. Basically, UK law says that unless you get all the firearms licenses, you can't have functioning guns, but you can have Deacs or like replicas, but there's lots of swings and roundabouts to that. But in simple English, it means that they'll never fire again. They've had bits welded in them, they've had the firing pins ground off. Yeah, exactly. That's the great thing, but I mean, I have noticed that as I'm getting older, time seems to go faster and faster, so the amount of time a week seems to go past in now is really quick, you know, where it literally seemed like Monday was a day ago. So I'm back at work this weekend, and then if I have a good day at work, then work goes really quick as well. If they have an eBay store, I've probably bought from them before, Alan, but I don't think I've ever used their site. Well, the site I use is D&B Militaria for the most part, and the prices range all over the place from like 100 to a couple of grand on there, depending on what the gun is, what the condition of it is in, how the Deac's been done. Because in general, people pay more for guns with more moving parts on them when they're deactivated. So if you can, you know, you move the charging handle, you know, the mags come in and out, the trigger moves, all stuff like that, people prefer them. But again, it's going to depend on the model of gun and the quality of the gun, essentially. I'd be up for getting more Deacs, but I've not seen at the moment anything that's been reasonably priced, because unfortunately over time a lot of deactivated guns have been going up in price. It used to be you could buy lots of the bolt action rifles and things with fully moving parts for like £100 to £200. Now lots of them are 500 plus. Yeah, they sell Russian deactivated guns. Oh, cool. Oh, you're saying they do? Oh, sorry, yeah, I thought you meant, let me Google Rus Military then. Do they sell to the UK though? Deacs. AK-74 Deac, how much is that? Oh, they don't have that in stock. Sold out, sold out. I'll bookmark them though, because it looks like they might have some good stuff in, but... Alright, let me just go through there and see if there's anything that comes up that they've got in stock. No AK-74s in stock, because the AK-74s they've got, with all the really cool furniture on, I would love one of those, but sadly those are out of stock. I don't want the parts, do I? I just want the actual, SVDs are over £1,000, so I'd never pay that for a deactivated gun. What are the AKMs price like? Oh, they've not got any of those in stock either. Makarovs, have they got any Deac Makarovs in? They've got a Deac Makarov for 300 quid. That might tempt me at some point. The Bison's over £1,000, so I wouldn't pay that. PKM, well, that's a bit big for my house, and that's at £1,500. A Dushka, that's even more expensive, and that's over £1,000. AK-105, 600 quid, looks cool, but I wouldn't pay that for one. AK-103, again, 600 odd quid. Oh, an AN-94, but they've not got any in stock. AKS Underfolder, well, that's nearly 800 quid. Looks like they have some good stuff if it's in stock, but sadly they've barely got any stock in there. Yeah, I've played Project Reality, but years ago. Battlefield 2 was a brilliant game. There's a deactivated Lee Enfield up there. No eyes, but sadly, yeah, deactivated. I've only got air guns in terms of actually, like, things I can shoot that are rifles. And I've got crossbows and things, but sadly, no, I don't have anything like... Although in the UK you can legally shoot Lee Enfields with the right kind of licence, because bolt actions are still allowed here. Sadly, I don't have any, and there's no ranges near me where I could actually shoot them, so there'd be no point me even trying to go through the entire process of a licence and all that to get one. Shooting clubs near me, sadly, are only clay pigeon and 22 long rifle sort of target shooting at like 10 yards, which either don't really interest me. The clay pigeon interests me a bit more because it's a bit more fun, but there used to be, and sadly it's not there anymore, because I was very interested in joining this gun club. There used to be a historical gun shooting one where they used to shoot things like Mosin Nagants, Lee Enfields, K98s, muskets and things like that at like 100, 200, 300 yards on an old military range. But sadly they don't seem to exist anymore because their website is no longer up and all stuff like that. Because when I bought my air rifles, I was chatting with a bloke in the gun club about it, and he gave me their details, and he said, oh, look into them, they're a good club, you'd enjoy that. But sadly they don't seem to actually exist anymore. It's actually, yeah, good spot. It's one of the check filters. It's just because that one was laying around and I put it on there. I'm pretty sure it's the check filter. Let me have a quick look. Yeah, it is, because it's got the trident symbol on it. OTK it says on there. MOF4, yeah. So that's an old Czechoslovakian filter, but yeah. Like the Flecton trousers, everybody. Just spotted that. They're very visible when I stand up. My favourite gas mask, Michael's the Avon CT12. Maybe it's because it's one of the few things we can get here and on that's not massively restricted, I don't know. But it does seem a very Anglosphere thing, collecting gas masks, as in America, Britain, Australia, New Zealand, Canada. You know, it does seem like most of the collectors, there's obviously collectors from other countries, but it does seem, yeah, most of them are sort of Anglo sort of countries. Yep, we were on about that just now. That's a real deactivated L1A1 SLR, the British version of an FN FAL. It's real but deactivated. Yeah, sadly, gun clubs can't survive without new members, and it seems sadly that lots of them aren't advertising for new members anymore, or just aren't appearing. And as I said, that's the sad thing, because I would love to join, you know, for like a monthly fee or whatever, one way you could just rent the things like bolt actions at the club, because that's the thing. I'd have a lot more interest shooting a rifle at a club where you just rent it from the club and pay the ammunition costs, you know, rather than actually owning one, because then you don't have to go through all the paperwork and you still get to do some shooting. I still get to do videos, you know, demonstrating military rifles at certain ranges, and I imagine if they were a cool gun club, they'd have no issue with me bringing in old masks to, you know, try the rifles at those sites. But sadly, in like a 50-mile radius to me, I don't think there is any, you know, classic gun shooting clubs left. Yeah, that's my bed. So yeah, I sleep under all that stuff. None of it's ever fallen on me. It doesn't creep me out, any of this stuff. I said it. I know a lot of these sort of military stuff and gas masks creep out a lot of people, but it doesn't freak me out. I've got a French M51, although I think it's a Belgian export model, and I've also got a Belgian World War II mask. Sadly, I can't go and get them because they're in a completely different room, so I'd have to leave for like 2 minutes to go and get them, but yeah, I do have those. And I've got a Polish MP5, which is like a clone copy, kind of licensed copy of a French gas mask as well. I think, mate, deactivated PPSHs aren't too hard to get, because I've got a deactivated PPSH. Let me see on this stream if I can actually get it out without knocking loads of stuff over. If I get it from this angle, let me just get the cables out the way that are next to it. There we go. It's a bit dusty, but yeah, deactivated PPSH. Used to be able to get these for less than 200 quid. It was less than £200 when I got a deactivated PPSH. Alright, that's cool. Yeah, keep collecting if it interests you. It's a great hobby. Yeah, if you soak a towel in the right sort of chemicals, it will prevent tear gas from getting through. I would have no idea the legislation of that will, but considering this is the UK, I don't think that's ever going to happen. Yeah, but, like I said, if you want to get a deactivated PPSH, PPSHs and PPS-43s tend to still sell in the UK for well under £300. But yeah, there's some guns that are definitely worth getting, because there's some real classics if you want to get Deacs. I mean, obviously I'd rather have a real functioning one, but the UK, where you can get some of the real classics for quite cheap, but sadly it's things like the Nazi guns and everything that are really expensive. Like pretty much any gun used by Germany in World War II, the prices of those are insane because they've got like that Nazi price inflation on them. But if you wanted to get, for example, a PPSH or PPS-43 or a Mosin Nagant or a Lee Enfield, or problem is Sten guns. I wanted to get a Sten gun and they were mass produced, but sadly Sten guns are like over 500 quid now. I'm not paying 500 quid for a bloody Sten. But right, see you now, Eyes. Thanks for commenting. Well, legally you can carry that. Is it a folding one? Or is it one where it's just a solid blade? Because if it's a solid blade, like a fixed blade, it's technically got more problems with it. But again, if you weren't doing anything dodgy, you were acting reasonably, and the police officers stopped you, if they did stop you, because I've never been stopped by the police at all, because I don't act suspiciously, you probably wouldn't have any issues whatsoever. The problem is with a lot of UK law, is it's full of grey areas. A lot of it is how you're acting and how the police interpret the way you're acting. Not necessarily if something is strictly legal or illegal, which I don't really like from a law sense, because, it means that there's things that you could do where you have perfectly good intentions, but you could fall afoul of the law. If it's folding, it's totally legit. Yeah, PPSH, because somebody asked me to get out, and I bothered to get out on this one. So you could do your PPSH weightlifting as an exercise. I suppose if you did that enough, it would actually build up a bit of muscle. But yeah, PPSH is a really nice submachine gun to handle. It just feels lovely, and I love how the PPSH looks, especially the drum mag. I know it's more practical with the box mags, but having the drum mag on there, the sort of shrouded barrel, like the heat perforated barrel, the wooden furniture. Sadly I can't pump this, it's where they've deactivated it, it's welded. The only thing I can show you of this is I can open this bit up so you can see the cosmoline inside and everything, and I can hopefully show you the cosmoline glowing under ultraviolet, maybe. Yeah, that glows a little bit under the UV, but yeah, cosmoline weirdly does glow under UV. I'll be able to see on there. But yeah, that's the only bit that moves really on this PPSH. The mag comes out, but the mag well is really stiff, so I don't know even if I want to show you on this stream if I'd actually be able to get it out. I can have a quick go, but that was one of the flaws of the PPSH, was that the mags often, oh I think it is coming, were either too tight or too loose for the magazine wells. Right, there you go, there's the PPSH mag. If you want to see it opened, I can open it, because I might as well now I've got this open. So to open a PPSA mag, you can see that you can see this is very dusty. You've got I think you push one bit, don't you? Yeah, you push this bit up from underneath, then you get the metal bit that twists open, so you twist that open, there we go, that twists round, and then you can take the cover off. So you can see that looks completely pristine, so look at all that cosmoline, it's like golden syrup. Let's just see if the UV light, if I can get... Ooh, it's making my hands very sticky. Yeah, this is a bad idea. Yeah, look at that. Glows green. Ooh. Super spooky cosmoline. But yeah, that's how you'd have your feed. But box mags are completely, impractical to reload. Anyway, let's close that back up. I'm going to have to, unfortunately, go and wash my hands in a moment, just because the PPSH has cosmolined up my hands, because it's an old piece of Soviet gear. Right, let's put the mag back on, though, before I do that, because I don't want to wash my hands and then have to re-wash them again. So let's just get that back in, if I can get it back in. Because as I said, this is not a friendly gun for... There we go. Put that clasp back down. Right, I will be right back. I just need to wash my hands before I get cosmoline everywhere. So I'll be right back. Yeah, there we go, all done. I had to use quite a lot of soap, though, saying that, to get the cosmoline off. Sort of, Anon. I think there's a Forgotten Weapons video where they explain all this, but basically, I think the Finnish Suomi was based, like an improved version, it was based off an older Russian submachine gun. And then when the Russians captured some Suomi submachine guns in the Finnish Winter War, they then looked at like further simplifying that and doing design improvements from that. So the PPSH is kind of, it's kind of based off of it, but it's kind of not kind of thing. It's like in a timeline of submachine guns where both nations were developing similar sort of things, but the PPS, development's probably sped up because they did get captured Suomis and say, oh, the Finns have done good design choices here, let's copy those, or let's copy those and change them slightly. But then the even better one was the one they came up with later called the PPS 43, which was even more simplified and cheaper to mass produce. So the PPSH 41 is probably more iconic, but the PPS 43 was technically a better design, as in it was a bit more reliable, it was cheaper to make, faster to make. Yeah, that's a very strange thing, isn't it? You can't even own like a realistic looking toy gun. But saying that, in the UK you can't own realistic toy guns either, because they changed that law under the Violent Crime Reduction Act, which is sadly the reason I can't just pay like £100 to £200 for a realistic replica MP40 that doesn't shoot or do anything. Because in the UK you can buy deactivated guns still, that's fine, the law, but to own a replica that's, would be even harder to reactivate, one where they could just completely fill in the inside the gun with like solid steel or something, or make it out of metals that would rip apart if you ever tried to shoot it. They sadly, there's more restrictions on those than Deacs because of how they changed the law at one point. Basically, here you can get realistic airsoft guns, but you need something called a UCARA. And the law on this is, again, lots of grey areas, but it's basically, because of the Violent Crime Reduction Act, to get an airsoft gun, you almost have to have an airsoft license. I know it's not technically a license, but that's the easiest way of sort of wording it for people who don't get it. So for a UCARA, you have to have gone to like a certain airsoft site and played airsoft games at that site over the course of several months, more than 3 times. Then they can sign you a piece of paper that lasts for a year, and then you can go to airsoft retailers and you can buy a realistic airsoft gun from them by showing them that piece of paper, basically. And there's lots of things with that where bits of it don't hold up to the law. So it's like an excuse, but still not covered. Because in theory, I think how the UK law works on airsoft guns, let's say you wanted an airsoft gun, if you went to a place selling it and the seller trusted you, they wouldn't be breaking the law selling you that gun. But the reason they have the UCARA system in there is so, it's kind of like you've gone more to an effort to prove that if they sell you the gun, nothing's going to come back on them. kind of thing. A mix of both, Aldo. They're flat in the middle and kind of convex at the sides. That's good, Alpha. Yeah, it's very good. My stomach's growling now. I'm going to have some dinner once I finish this stream. Food always gets brought up on the streams. I had some breakfast today, but... What do you mean, how do you know that you're banned on YouTube? Oh, you're not banned if you mean blocked from my channel, mate, because I can see your comment and I'm replying to it. Oh, let me go on your video, Mike, and see if there's a new one that I haven't done yet. Right, unblock. It's on the video, right? Not the community tab one. Because I haven't checked the community tab one since you've done the video. Right, let's pause this video. Hello, please unblock Kyle Martin. I can see Fake Madness, but I can check the list for a Kyle Martin. Right, Fake Madness isn't blocked, so let me check the Kyle Martin one. Hang on, I'm going to have to get the other tabs open now to manually search for names, so bear with me a minute and then I'll go back to the chat. Creator Studio Classic, because you can't unblock people on the new Creator Studio. Community. I was talking you through it so you know I'm actually doing something. I should hit 57,000 subscribers hopefully today, because I'm on 56,945 at the moment. Okay, community settings, Kyle Martin. Let me find him and unblock him if he is actually on the block list. Kyle Martin. Found him. He is now unblocked. There we go. Done. Right, done. Yeah, exactly, Will. There's lots of stupid things to this where it's done nothing. The Violent Crime Reduction Act is one of those things that's done very little to actually stop violent crime, but it's just inconvenienced collectors and things like that. Okay, yeah, that's a bit confusing that they've got all these different categories. In the UK, it's quite simple. We've got Section 1 for actual firearms, but again, the UK doesn't define what's really a firearm as a firearm. But Section 1 is for things like rifles, is the easy way of thinking of it. Section 2 is shotguns. Shotgun licenses are Section 2 licenses, much easier to get, because they consider shotguns to be less dangerous. Right, cheers. XQANAXX. I'm never sure how I'm meant to pronounce your name. Yeah, that's very strange, isn't it, sophistry, where we're like kind of the opposites there. Where the UK is very restrictive on real firearms in a sense, but lots and lots of the replicas are either allowed or not allowed for almost no reason. And then, or I'll tell you what I might buy after payday, actually, although I am saving up for a new PC. Hype linked me to a very good UK site that sells, like, CO2 air guns, like the CO2 pistols. I know they're a bit expensive to keep shooting, but, you know, the ones where you can get the complete pistol replicas that are all done to the right weight and everything. And there was a really good 1911 he recommended. And I think with the, like, signed for postage where they check your ID and everything, that would be about 150 quid or less. So I'm quite tempted, actually. It's like a 177 pistol, because I think I'd have a lot of fun shooting that, to be honest. And it's one where, you know, they'd actually designed a proper magazine that doesn't jam, that feeds in pellets. I mean, I'd rather have a gun that permanently shot blanks, because the UK, again, annoyingly, we used to have a thing where blank firers used to be really easy to get, so you could have realistic blank firers for, you know, like props and film kind of stuff. And then they made the laws on blank firers a lot more restrictive, you know, where they either had to be two-tone or they had to vent the gas in a really weird way, or sites wouldn't sell to you unless you had another sort of license anyway, even though the law didn't restrict that. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing with lots of these laws. I don't know actually, Aldo. I'd assume a lot of it is either just black or, yeah, navy blue. In general, UK armed police stuff is navy blue, but not all of it. And a lot of the old British military stuff, like flash hoods, are black. So I'd assume black would be your answer to SAS kit, but again, it's probably going to vary. And a lot of the time they would just wear camo or something practical, rather than just wearing, like, black storming kind of stuff. Yeah, it's very strange, isn't it? Even if you had all the range in the world to use it, you can't do it. It's very odd. Don't post stuff like that, Anon. You're not going to get into trouble for it. I'm just going to remove your comments because, again, you don't want to give anybody ideas in the chat. That's the only thing. If there are people with bad intentions, I completely know what you're on about, and you're totally right. But sadly, no, I'm not afraid of World War III. If World War III happened with nuclear weapons, it'd be over very fast, and you'd probably not live long enough to actually realise that it had happened. Yeah, it's cool, Anon. Just don't post stuff like that again, just because, you know, certain people might take that in the wrong way. Yeah, there's some very good airsoft replicas, but as said, the problem is I don't have a UCARA, and because there's not a local airsoft site to me, I'd be really going out of my way just to get the UCARA. That would be the annoying thing. Whereas if I could buy a realistic-looking CO2 airgun, you know, I'd actually have more fun because I could plink targets fairly well with that in the garden. And even if I don't keep buying CO2 from it, at least means I've got a nice replica. Yeah, there's a lot of videos about the PMG-1 on my channel. If you want to see if I've done a video, go on my channel, use the search function, and then type in the name of a gas mask or whatever, and you'll probably find a lot of results. Funnily enough, I filmed another video on the PMG-1 today, but it wasn't specifically about the PMG-1. It was demonstrating UV damage to masks that some people had asked me about in streams. Could I do videos on? Right, thank you, mate, but I'm not going to pronounce your name in case people accuse me of being racist when I read it out. And don't forget to like the stream, everybody, if you've joined the stream and not liked it yet, because it seems to help YouTube actually share it the more people liking and watching streams. No, your name's not a problem. I don't mind you posting with a name like that. It's just I'm not going to read it out, you know, just in case somebody gets the wrong idea if I read it out and they take it out of context. Maybe India and Pakistan fighting over some of the border region, like Kashmir or whatever it is. That could potentially be a big war. There's probably still going to be lots of wars in the Middle East because they never seem to end. I know at the moment there's lots of stuff where they're trumpeting for war with Iran again, sadly. Because I've known a lot of Iranians, they're pretty decent people, but, you know, sadly it seems make war with Iran seems to be one of the things the US and Britain likes to constantly shout about. But yeah, I'd say that's probably the biggest thing for a major war is, I guess, India and Pakistan, I think, would be the biggest thing. I'm getting really hungry now for some reason. I don't know if it's because holding the PPSH is burning calories or whatever, but yeah, that for whatever reason. Thankfully, there's not loads of Cosmoline on the barrel, so I'm not going to get my hands really greasy doing that, but getting a bit of the yeah, it's making me hungry for whatever reason, just doing that. So why is that? Is it just your math teacher likes going on about that? Quite a lot of my family were military service or in World War One and World War Two, but World War One, World War Two because they were conscripted to be in there because, you know, Britain conscripted loads and loads of men to fight in World War One and World War Two, and afterwards national service, as in, you know, like when you were conscripted to just go places. What do you mean? What is an hour in your country? An hour is 60 minutes in England, the same as everywhere else. But if you mean what is the time right now, it is 1:49 p.m. So just about 10 to 2. Hello, unsalted peanuts. Weirdly enough, I actually really like unsalted peanuts. I actually prefer unsalted peanuts to salted peanuts. Alright, so did you change your name to Yeah Boy? Well, that's fine, because I can actually say that, because it's not going to be used out of context. That's interesting, Will. Thanks for pointing that out, but, you know, I've already got enough health problems that as much as I don't want more, I'm not too concerned about a lot of things. But I don't want to sound like I'm discounting your advice, but it does at least build up muscle. Oh yeah, Evil Britain. Yeah, I know all about Evil Britain because I'm an evil Englishman. And we get lectured a lot when we were in school about all the bad shit Britain did. But the thing is, though, I ought to get my pith helmet out for this. The funny thing is, when we were in school, they constantly lectured us about how evil the British Empire was and everything. When I used to work from people that were from former British colonies in Africa, you know, that did jobs that came to Britain to look for work, but they were from places like Kenya or whatever, they used to talk about how much better it was when Britain helped sort their country out, because they said there was less corruption. I mean, modern day Britain's full of corruption, but, you know, schools were built, people got good educations, you know, all stuff like that. And they said, you know, now it's sort of actually run by the country. There's lots of corruption, you know, lots of unemployment and stuff like that. So it's, you know, weird like that. Oh, so it's better to do it like that, is it? Right, thanks for the advice. What kind of assault suit is it, Kyle Martin? I probably wouldn't buy anything from YouTube, but other people might be interested if you let them know. Yeah, the British Empire definitely did some bad things. I'm not going to deny that. Like, if you look up the Opium War, that was very evil what Britain did, where we sort of helped the Chinese get addicted to opium in massive numbers so we could get tea cheaply, and then started wars to keep them on the opium. You know, the British Empire did some very evil things, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't a purely case of everything Britain did was completely evil. No, I don't go to the gym. I work blue-collar jobs, Michael. I've always worked blue-collar jobs. You know, I've got weights at home and stuff like that. Exercise equipment at home. If you do archery or crossbow shooting or any kind of sword sparring, you build up muscles from doing that. So all the muscle I end up building up or whatever, and all my personal fitness is just done through working and going out and doing stuff, really. Yeah, exactly. Everything is always grey. Um, there's lots of conflicts. Like I suppose it depends. If you're talking about a country's history, then yeah, everything is certainly grey. Because even though, like I said, I have lots of problems with people who go on massively about how brilliant communism was, who have never read a decent history book, there were still good things the Soviet Union did. And I'm not going to, you know, lie and pretend every single thing the Soviet Union did was bad. With pretty much every country, you know, some were more evil, some were more closer to black, and, you know, some were more closer to white in the scale of being grey, if you look at their morals. But I don't think there's been a single country in history that's been downright everything they did was evil. Even Nazi Germany, you know, did some good things, as much as they were complete bastards for the most part. Nazi Germany did have very good animal rights. They had good labour rights to begin with, for workers, you know, things like that. So, if you look at lots of countries throughout history, they did do some good things, as well as all the bad things they did. Yeah, I don't know if anti-smoking itself is necessarily a good thing. I mean, people not smoking in front of their kids and not smoking in public places is good. But because I'm quite libertarian, I think if people want the right to smoke, if they're damaging their own body, that's their own choice. The government shouldn't be allowed to say you're not allowed to smoke. Yeah, I've got lots of World War II masks. Michael has said, you keep asking do I own certain things, just search on my channel for it. That's apparently not really a Hitler quote, though. It's a quote misattributed to Hitler. As in, will a Polish MP4 suit Polish MP4 gas mask fit with that? I assume so, I don't know. It depends what the collar's like on the vest, because if you have body armour where it's got a really high collar on it, then it might not work with a gas mask. If it's not got a collar, most gas masks would work with it absolutely fine. The only problem with German World War II tech, though, was their very poor understanding of logistics, in the sense that they wanted tanks that used up loads of petrol and had very heavy armour and heavy guns that are incredibly expensive to produce, whereas it would have been better for Germany to have gone with, you know, mass-produced logistical equipment, or a good balance between it. Maybe those Czechoslovakian NBC suits that look like bin bag liners, they're quite funny. Che Guevara murdered a lot of innocent people. I am not a fan of Che, although his face is on lots of t-shirts, funnily enough. But yeah, if you look at lots of the people, was his actual name Ernest, wasn't it? Or Ernst, something like that? He murdered a lot of innocent people. I'm not going to get the AK out at the moment because it's down there and I'd have to move a load of stuff. The PPSH is a bit more accessible. I don't know if Hitler also said that, but that is quite true though, isn't it? That lots of democratic countries do end up being, which is why I think you need proportional representation and a much better parliamentary system than we have in the UK, do end up just becoming, sadly, yeah, where you get two parties where you just go between one party and another every few years, and they both end up being exactly the same thing. I don't have a claymore. The only claymore I have, Stella, is my Deac's letter opener. Knocked the lighter on the floor. There you go, there's my claymore. But yeah, that's the letter opener. I don't have a long sword or claymore. I've got a rapier back there, but it's a rapier. That's not a that's not a actual yeah, like I said, I don't think there's very many people in history that were downright evil or downright good. Like I said, he probably did do some good things, but like I'm saying, I know for a fact that, you know, lots of people don't know about some of the things he did in his life, and, you know, he did kill a lot of people in, like, the Cuban Revolution and everything. Wasn't he originally Argentinian, Che Guevara? But he was killed, wasn't he, fighting in the Cuban Revolution? But again, like the Cuban Revolution, there were lots of bad things about the Cuban system before, and there were lots of bad things in the communist system before, and pros and cons to each. You know, like I said, I don't want to really demonise people from history too much. Which one, the GP7? Up there? Yeah, it's probably because it's got big round eyepieces. What, because Britain sent all the prisoners to Australia? Yeah, I know Lithuania. Like Lithuania, Estonia and Latvia, the Baltic states, yeah. Yeah, because isn't lots of Soviet surplus essentially in Lithuania, because the Baltic states were in, you know, like obviously the Soviet grip during Cold War, and then they were the ones that started selling it off quite early on. I do sometimes say "What's up, guys," I think, but I'm glad you like the videos. Oh, so it was actually after the missile crisis. I was assuming that he died during the actual Civil War then, but yeah. What's up, Doc? But yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. You taught me something there, but I've never really looked too much into him, to be honest. Well, I don't know. I'm not going to encourage anybody to do anything dangerous. Is it a firing 84 or is it a Deac one? If it's a Deac one, you can't do anything with it, can you? Because it's deactivated. Alright, yeah, thanks for all this info, Max. Yeah, that's quite interesting. No, what I used to do is I used to work in a warehouse as a stock assistant. When I do volunteering on Thursdays, that's blue collar because it's mostly cleaning and scrubbing stuff and, you know, like moving hay bales around and things like that. My current job's a kitchen porter job, which again is scrubbing, cleaning, stuff like that. But I've never done it as sort of agency kind of stuff. I've always done jobs as, you know, working for a company where I have shifts on certain days and I know when I'm working. Yeah, don't insult other people in the chat because I don't want to start blocking people again, but if people start insulting each other in the chat, you know, it pisses me off, to be honest. Right, if you want to donate €1, you can do. It's up to you. Yeah, so you think some of the bad influence on him then was Castro, do you? That's quite interesting. As I said, I don't want to get too much into politics, but that is quite fascinating. Because I do think a lot of the people that believed in a lot of the communist ideas did have good intentions to begin with. It's just, you know, when you go to most authoritarian systems, horrible things happen. Because you keep doing this thing of, we need to make decisions for people, we know best. And then generally that always ends in disaster. Oh, I'm on live. I am on live chat at the moment, yeah. It wasn't actually on top chat, I don't remember changing it, but it was on live chat. I just clicked live chat again, but... No, none of the masks have ever fallen on me. I have now and again had things fall off that shelf, which you can't see from here. But I've got a shelf up there that has loads of gas mask satchels on, and every now and again they just tend to fall off of there. I guess where, you know, like the straps and everything expand over time or whatever, and then they sort of push it off like one of those machines that pushes the pennies off the like the arcade machines. That's strange. I've noticed sometimes though when watching your streams though, Mike, that you reply to people in different orders, so I don't think the chat's always consistent for each person. I reckon the video uploader and people in the comments might see the chat in a different order. Only if I can think of good things to cook. Otherwise, no, because I'm not really a cooking channel as much as I've got stuff in my username. I only do it now and again when I think it's a video a lot of people might find interesting. Like, again, porridge, because it's so cheap to buy. You know, so oats are really good for making kind of survival foods out of. Or just if you're on a really low budget. Yeah, exactly. The extremes of any political system is terrible. Like, I wouldn't want to go full ANCAP as much as I'm quite libertarian. You know, full ANCAP is basically everybody nuking each other because they're all allowed to own nukes, and you'd be basically enslaved by companies. Can't really do a cooking live stream because I've not got a laptop, I've only got a desktop, and I'd use up most of my mobile internet if I tried to do it from my mobile phone in the kitchen. Oh, I think Zombert's going to be in his live stream tonight, Will, from what he said. Thank you, Random Dragon. I still need to go over a bit of my head again with the clippers, despite doing it again this morning, because it seems in a couple of places the hair does seem a bit longer than it should be. But yeah, thank you. Just did it on Wednesday night in like 20 minutes with the clippers just going bzzz over my hair like that. What gun behind me? There's a Lee Enfield up there, and there's an SLR there. Yeah, well, lots in the Cold War, lots of countries were just flipped between blue and red endlessly, weren't they? Where each nation installed a puppet government. Like the USA had lots of puppets and the USSR had lots of puppet states. And generally the countries that did the best were the ones neither superpower interfered with, for the most part. You know, the countries that were neutral were generally the better ones to live in, not the ones that were CIA or KGB proxies. Most of them have got weight supported by Lee Enfield, yeah. The Vista Vision is fully supported by Lee Enfield. The other masks I don't really care about because they're like old mass-produced masks. Originally, yes, because the FN FAL was made by Fabrique Nationale, you know, FN Hunst or whatever they're called. But the FN was made by loads and loads and loads of countries, the FAL, because it was one of the most popular designs. It was called the right arm of the free world. The British one was made in Britain. And it's called the L1A1 SLR, and it's got some design changes to it, but Britain was given a production licence by FN. If you hover over the stream, it might tell you, but 57 minutes ago to be exact. The GP5M and the orange katana. That's Chinese Type 64A, if I remember correctly. As somebody I think just said. Yeah, Slav Brothers TV, I think he's got the right answer. I think it's a Type 64A, if I remember what Hype said. No, I don't have an SGC or an FAC. We were on about that earlier in the stream. But sadly, there's no shooting clubs near me that I'd actually have any interest in joining. I said if one did appear near me, which was a classic rifle shooting club, I'd join it in an instant, but just sadly there's not anymore. Yep, correct. Germany was allowed to buy the G1 built by FN, which was obviously the FAL, but they had to domestically make their own gun because Belgium wasn't going to give Germany a production license, and I don't really blame them for that. Oh, you're on about Yuri Bezmenov, aren't you, Max the Fox? His videos are very interesting. It depends how quickly you're firing it. If you're doing very short bursts, it probably wouldn't. If you dumped the entire mag in a couple of seconds, then yeah, it would get very hot. I wouldn't be very interested in Air Rifle Club. There are some near me, and it seems to be people who are very, very like obsessed with gun etiquette. Because I've got a couple of mates that do air rifle shooting in the club, and I think they rarely do it anymore, just simply because they did the club for a bit, got into, you know, very precise shooting, and then got annoyed with other members of the club that were, you know, people that were very, 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 very strict on certain rules that were apparently completely pointless. Like, obviously, range safety is very important, but apparently it was going beyond range safety, you know, where you should or shouldn't use certain brands of gun bag to transport your gun in, you know, and all stuff like that. Oh, you shouldn't use certain brands of pellets because some brands of pellets make a bit more lead come off than other brands, so that's a danger to people's lungs. It was that kind of thing which puts people off. Oh, in a rifle club, do you mean, rather than an air rifle club? Yeah, I'd be interested in a rifle club if it was a classic rifle club. As in Ireland, as in Northern Ireland or the Republic of Ireland, because they're both quite different, aren't they, in terms of gun laws? Oh, we're nearly an hour already on the stream. Wow, this has gone fast today. Yeah, I have no idea, to be honest, what the Republic of Ireland's gun laws are like. 306, well, 303. 303. British 303. Potential Anon. I don't know, he was fairly old anyway, wasn't he? Yeah, glad you find those videos funny. Some people don't like those videos, but I like to every now and again do a parody video. Because the thing is, if I do loads and loads and loads of serious videos in a row, just talking about technical stuff, it sometimes just gets a bit, you know, frustrating. Which is one of the reasons I like doing streams as well, because the conversations on streams are quite different. And for me, it's a lot easier to do 3 regular videos a week on Wednesday, Fridays and Sundays, and then do streams when I've got spare time. That way I can actually do more content that way. And streams are good because you get a bit more live feedback, which I like, and sometimes different people are on. Where sometimes I've found with videos you always get the same people comment, but then on streams you get completely different people come on who want to chat for a bit. you know, and give you feedback or whatever, you know, so you get a very different kind of thing from it. Well, where they train the dogs, but they train them on the burnt out T-34s or whatever it was, so then the Russian dogs ran under the T-34s to suicide bomb them, rather than running under German tanks. Yeah, I've heard about that, Max. Oh, good, yeah. I'm glad it's edgy in the way that you find it entertaining. As I said, it's just because with moderating it, I only try and block people or warn people and stuff like that, you know, if they're doing stuff that's really, really pushing the line. But I guess that's where apparently somebody was saying the other day that people were saying I'm a neo-Nazi or I run sort of a neo-Nazi Discord server is just because I don't really censor people for posting memes or whatever. You know, you can take that out of context very easily, can't you? But as I said, I'm libertarian. I think Hitler was a cunt, if you want my honest opinion. There you go. I think that settles whether or not I'm a neo-Nazi. I'm not a fan of Hitler. There you go. No, I do know, though, interesting enough, yeah, boy, about the Pepsi thing, where Pepsi bought lots of Soviet ships, or like they traded ships of the Soviet Union for a fleet kind of thing. So at one point, Pepsi had one of the biggest navies in the world. Yeah, unfortunately, that's a common smear, isn't it? It seems nowadays, and especially in UK politics, anybody who looks liberty or libertarian leaning, you know, where they want less government, not more government, gets called a neo-Nazi or a fascist. It's like, well, do you know what a fascist actually is? I'm pretty sure they like big authoritarian governments. Should have used the, rather than using a Lewis gun, they should have used the Vickers gun. That was a very reliable machine gun. I'm hopefully going to visit the USA next year if I save up enough money and I plan a good holiday with it. Yeah, Hype is very good, isn't he, for finding like very cheap Chinese masks. Because that's the thing, you can buy brand new masks from China very cheaply if you know what you're doing. I might look into getting more Chinese masks at some point, because yeah, you can buy some of the Chinese industrial masks for like £10 to £20 that, you know, fit 40mm NATO filters and they're brand new masks. If there were UK companies selling the equivalent masks to that, they'd be like £200 to £400 per pound sort of price range. If I'm going to the US, I'm probably going to go to somewhere like Texas or Arizona just purely for the shooting, you know, on my first visit. Well, where I buy most of my masks is eBay, because you can get masks all over the price range on eBay. But if you buy directly from certain Chinese sites, you can buy very cheaply. No, they're not taking spoons away from here, Ninja Master, although apparently there's been another knife law thing passed now. Weapon Collector said he's going to do a video on it tomorrow, so I'm going to watch his video where he kind of analyses it a bit and see what they've done. Well, on some masks, if depending on how the valve's set up, it means obviously the filter wears out faster, because if you're exhaling out of the inhale valve, what's going to happen is more air is passing through the filter, therefore the filter is going to expire faster and clog faster. You could just have no exhale valve where the mask farts around your face, but that's going to be a bit loud and stupid. But obviously the best system is if you have an exhale valve roughly in the chin area of the mask, because what happens there is it means your sweat will just drain out the exhale valve. That's probably just the best way of doing it. I've got plenty of knives, all UK legal to own, not necessarily legal to carry on me all the time, but yeah, it depends which sort of knives you mean. I can't really open that one-handed very easily. Oh, there we go, that Ganzo one. But as I'm holding the PPSH at the moment, it is a bit difficult trying to open knives one-handed. School was a mixed bag. It really depends. Hello, this isn't Hind. But, you know, it's mixed bag. With school, I found teachers that, you know, were energetic and made the lessons interesting. I really enjoyed. Teachers that were really boring made school a drag. You know, it was a really mixed bag for me. Some bits of it were good, some bits of school were crap. But the thing is, I don't like being told I have to go somewhere for so many hours a day and not getting paid for it. That's the thing I like at least about working, is that if I'm somewhere 8 hours a day or whatever, I'm getting paid for my time. Yeah, exactly. With a lot of the time, it's hard to actually define things, isn't it, Rich? As completely left-right sort of thing. Because some Nazi policies were right-wing, some were left-wing. Again, they're authoritarian. That's the easiest way of describing most of these, you know, dictator kind of people is, you know, lots of authoritarian things are authoritarian, draconian, whatever you want to say. I generally dislike authoritarian systems because I don't like the idea of being told what I can and can't do by the government. You can talk about Discord stuff in the live chats. I have no problem with that, Alexander. I don't quite get your question there, but if you're saying, are you allowed to talk about things on Discord on this live chat? Yeah, sure. I'm not massively interested in military cook kits and things like that, Alpha Omega. What I'll need to get round to doing at some point, when I remember, is I'll do a video if I can find them on my military mess tins and all my old military canteens, but I'm not very interested in those, to be honest. Same people who always dislike the stream, I guess will, but they're free to dislike the stream if they want to. If anybody's watching and not like the stream yet, they can counter it by putting more likes on. Yeah, of course I like doing YouTube stuff. If I didn't like doing YouTube stuff, I wouldn't be doing YouTube stuff, but yeah, I enjoy doing YouTube stuff. Right, see you, Raghilda, if I'm pronouncing your name right. Yeah, I'm going to be streaming for another 5 or so minutes. I might go to 1 hour 15, and I'm going to really need to go make some lunch, because I'm getting quite hungry now. Yeah, I've ordered the Polish red filter. I'm definitely going to do a video on that, because apparently it's a safe coffee can, well not coffee can, but EO14 style filter. So that should be good. I'm hoping it still works when I get it and it's not expired and useless, but it should be good just for having as props in videos anyway. Yeah, I'm in love with the HBO Chernobyl miniseries. It's depressing and bleak and brilliant. I'm not going to be streaming later today because I'm working tomorrow, so tonight I'm just going to be relaxing and stuff. But I'll be on Weapon Collector's stream at, is it 8 PM he starts his streams normally? Or 9? 9 to 11, isn't it, I think, Weapon Collector's streams normally. So I'll be on that one. Yeah, again, Richard, I don't want to get too much into politics, but yeah. It's not simple, is it, with left-right, but generally it's the people who are most ignorant about politics and that like to use Nazis like... Yeah, not Nazis. Like to use labels like Nazi on people because they disagree with their political thoughts. Yeah, 9 till 11 PM, I'll be definitely on that later, Mike, for the spooky stream. There's one of the things, isn't it, that a lot of people don't know, is that during different parts of the Soviet Union's period and some other communist regimes, they were very anti-Jewish as well. The same way the Nazis were. Not to the extent normally of killing Jewish people, but at least to the extent of, you know, confiscating property for Jews, using Jews as a scapegoat, you know, things like that. Alright, see you, Australian. And see you, Max, as well. So see you, Alpha and Max, goodbye. That's alright, Rich. You never do it to cause a problem, you're just pointing out things. It's just, generally, I don't like getting into politics too much, because as Mike says, it can be quite boring, and it can just cause people to start arguing in the comments. Alright, see you, man named Dan. Good night, Hong Kong. Are you saying I am Helmet? Helmet Schmecker? That's a brilliant name, Helmet Schmecker. Yeah, exactly. Lots of words like, you know, things like racist and, you know, racist Nazi terms like that almost have no meaning anymore, even if you were using it against people who literally had those beliefs, because there are people that will literally just use the term Nazi to describe anybody they dislike. And I've even started seeing this thing now where it's like even left-wing groups start calling each other fascists or Nazis because they, you know, oh, you're not far left enough. You know, it's this kind of stuff. Wasn't Farge the guy that burnt down the churches? I've never really watched his stuff, to be honest. He seems like a bit of a prick. I don't know, I've not watched his stuff, but he's done a lot of illegal stuff over the years, hasn't he? So I've got no interest in his channel. Alright, see you, this isn't Hind. Have a good lesson. Hopefully it's not too boring. Hopefully it's something enjoyable. Yeah, Helmet Schmacker, with your funny name, you can get a shout out. I'm very mildly Christian, Will. As in, I think there's stuff we can't explain by science yet. I think it's kind of easier thinking of things like there is some kind of moral system outside of human control. But at the same time, people have done lots of bad things in the name of religion over the years, you know. And I don't have a problem with anybody's religious beliefs. You know, they can be a religious atheist or whatever, it doesn't bother me. Because, you know, like I said, religion and politics, as long as the person themselves is a decent person, I don't really care. Michael, you want to shout out? If your name is Michael Brown, if I'm pronouncing that right, there's your shout out. Yeah, so he murdered somebody and he set churches on fire, yeah. Sounds like a brilliant bloke. No, I wouldn't make fun of that. I would not make fun of somebody for being Jewish or another religion, because I said I'm not a dick like that, but, you know. Do you live in France at the moment, then? I'm going to finish the stream in a couple of minutes anyway, because it's nearly 1 hour 15 minutes. But thanks for watching, everyone. It's been a good stream. 90 bucks for just trousers and a shirt? £90? Well, $90. I'm not going to spend £90 on trousers and a shirt. You could buy full flex arm for like 20 or 30 quid at most. Full DPM for 20 or 30 quid. Oh, original 1940s stuff. Ah, that's a bit different. I thought you meant like modern uniforms. Probably wouldn't, to be honest. I'm tempted at some point to buy some of the retro Finnish stuff that sometimes turns up on eBay. Like the Finnish shirts and trousers, because they're sometimes quite cool old camo and they're cheap. Yeah, some of that Oscam stuff and some of the camos you've been posting, Sophistry, are very expensive, aren't they? Well, if they're sealed properly and they're recently manufactured, they should work, because they're going to have a hell of a lot of charcoal in them. And, you know, a filter like that that's just got a particle filter at the bottom, particle filter at the top, and it's full of charcoal, is going to work pretty damn well. Oh, that's cool. I'm not sure what I'm going to eat. I'm going to look in the cupboard and the fridge, and maybe the freezer, see what's in there and pick something based on how hungry I feel at the time, how easy it is to cook, you know. Mike might have already gone off, Kyle. Right, Helmet Schmacker, there you go, there's your shout out before you have breakfast. Have a nice breakfast. You've reminded me now of the thing when we were laughing on Mike's stream. I'm going to finish any time now because I've gone over the time I said I was going to do. Where, you know, we were laughing at, I feel really sorry for the people, but you know, where their parents had given them awful first names, whatever surnames they had. Like, there was like Mo Lester, Willie Stroker, you know, all names like that, and it's like, I would fucking change my name as soon as I legally could if I was given an awful first name with my surname. Yeah, well, I suppose if it's something that not many people own, then you might as well get one. I doubt there's many UK gas mask collectors that have an XM28, although saying that my XM28 is a damaged XM28 now. But, you know, it's stuff like that, isn't it? It's quite interesting, but I don't collect stuff for the prestige of it. I collect it because I find it interesting and like talking about it, you know. When people say to me, like, oh, I've only got 5 gas masks in my collection, well, that's good. if you're interested in it, it's good. You know, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to be one of those people like, oh, I've technically got more masks than you, so ha ha ha, you know, that's a dick move. Oh, he looked. Okay, so it's pronounced halut or heli. I'm afraid if it's like a French or a German sounding name, I'm going to have no job at... I'm going to be awful at pronouncing it, I'm afraid. It's just because of the lighting. Because this webcam is very good at picking up colours naturally. My ceiling light, because it's an LED light, I would never get a blue kind of white LED light. I've got one of the white-yellow tinted ones because I prefer the colour of it. And also because I've got a lamp on over there, and the lamp again has like a yellowish kind of coloured bulb in it. So yeah, let me turn this light off just to prove it to you. If I turn this light off and I open my curtains, if there's enough sunlight coming through, but it's a bit dingy outside today, you might notice now that the colour looks a bit more natural. But the lighting doing this doesn't look as good. The more lights I've got on, the better. But yeah, it's just simply a fact of and if, let's say I minimise my thing, you'll see then it looks very blue because of all the blue light coming off of the screen. It's just a lighting thing. It's not that the colour's off on the camera, it's literally just the ceiling light and my lamp are quite yellow. I don't know, Jacob, because there's a few videos of people shooting M56 helmets and other helmets, but yeah, East German M56 helmets were one of the best steel helmets, just because of the shape of it meant that, you know, you were more likely to deflect rounds off of it that would normally penetrate a helmet. If you feel like making YouTube videos, Michael, go straight ahead. If you do it for a bit and then don't enjoy it, stop. But, you know, if you want to do it, do it. You know, it can be a good hobby. I enjoy doing it. It makes me money and I chat with some great people on here. You know, some people don't like the stress of it, but for me it's brilliant because, you know, I'm autistic. I can talk about the spurgy things I find interesting and it helps support my income. So, you know, for me that's great, but, you know, for some people it isn't so great. But anyway, thanks for watching. Like the stream if you haven't liked the stream so far on your way out. I'll be on Weapon Collector's stream from 9 to 11 tonight, chatting with people on there. So, thank you, Alexander. It's nice to hear positive things from people, as I said, because I sometimes hear a lot of negatives on here, but the action doesn't move on it because it's deactivated. But yeah, see everybody. Thanks for watching. It's been a good stream. An hour and almost 20 minutes has gone very quickly today. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. I've enjoyed this one. Thank you.